popular thing.
Was gonna go.
Where?
He said he's gonna get us out. No. Oh, an hour and a half. Yeah, I thought you were gonna tell me 15 minutes. No, I said that. I am. Yeah. Already on there.
She said she doesn't have any sense. Oh, no, I'm not saying. She texted me that she was. No one ever texts me. I text you guys all the time.
We text you back. I just take a little long sometimes. Why do I take long? Because I get so many texts. So all of our alarms and stuff at work are all our SCADA alarms, all that. So SCADA supervisory control. So all the automated stuff on the system.
I don't know if it's on or not. I don't know where Mr. Smith is. I don't know where Laura if Miss Ebrady is here. Hi.
I got this.
I mean, he always.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, this is adorable.
Yep, next, hey.
Turns out well.
Yeah. Wear your t-shirt. Because I don't want to be the only one that comes.
Yeah.
What, Mike? Do you have yours or should we grab it? If you give it to me, I'll drop it off at our house. I was going to say something.
I saw Robert.
Okay.
I would just leave it with all that stuff. Oh, there it is. Briefly walking. What I don't. That's fine, but I just want to make sure that Laura, yeah, that she is on and speaking somewhere.
Sounds like.
She said she was going to be the voice of Oz. Probably that too. We will get started here in about a minute. Is my microphone on or am I just semi-loud? Nope, not on.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't think.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Some people's are.
I don't think mine's on.
It's up.
Help us.
See, that's how
Yeah.
my kids is on. Sounds a little better. Is mine on now, Mr. May? Okay,
I don't think that one's on. Maybe it is.
up is on, right? Correct?
It's on.
None of this right, left. It gets confusing then.
Yeah.
And Miss
I'm not
Ebright's on as well.
Can you hear me?
I am not doing that.
Hello?
This is not a Verizon commercial. I'm not move to Sprint, wherever wherever he is now, whatever he is now.
I go with it, wherever Ryan. wrote.
Crap.
Ah, that is how you decide your mobile carriage. Got it.
Might have just saddened me.
Oh. Me? Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Testing.
I was gonna
One,
say,
two,
I don't
three.
think I don't think my mic's on. Oh,
Okay. Laura can't hear.
oh,
Okay.
I can
We
hear
would
him.
like her to have a voice. If she wants.
Hello?
yeah.
Hello?
So I apologize for everyone that's here. We will get started as soon as we get our one last board member dialed in. So please bear with us. This does not count against my time.
Yeah. I think it counts as your time, Mike. Yes.
Shit.
Is that Laura texting?
With a creepy message if I can see you. Okay.
Yeah, I would just. Sure. Can you put her on? Or can one of us dial into the Zoom? Like-
Or I can just call her. I don't know which. I don't know what's easiest.
Is Robert?
Mr. Smith, what do you think?
Should we just call Laura?
I'll have her call me.
Actually, what?
If she call, I'll just put her on speaker. We're there.
I just have drainage. It's great.
Uh,
Love it. All right. Well, I am gonna go ahead. Are you okay? Started?
No.
Say what? I believe that is the plan, as long as she can hear us on Zoom. Which she said she could, and as long as the public can as well.
You're here. Miss Ebright. Hello. We can hear you.
Oh, just get disconnected.
This is gonna be a problem.
We have no
We
reception.
don't
So,
have reception.
yeah, reception's gonna be the issue.
Well, we have a quorum. Let's just. get
Yep.
started.
Let's get-
So what we will do, Laura, if you have major items that you want to discuss or speak with us, please let us know and we'll get in touch with you. But as it stands, if you're okay, we will move forward with the four that we have here. So having said that, I want to make the official welcome to everyone and call this meeting to order. I want to welcome everyone that's here in person and thank them. And then also everyone that is listening via the internet as well. A couple things before we call the roll on who's here. I want to send a thank you out to everyone for their support during the election. and the fact of supporting the direction that the school is going and keeping that same direction going. So we appreciate that commitment that the community had for us and the board. And then also a big thank you to all of the veterans that are out there. I know Veterans was Memorial Day or Veterans Day was last week, but I want to take the time to recognize those here at the board as well and thank everyone for their service. So we appreciate that they've done. So having said that, if you would like to call the roll.
I'm just going to say that Ms. Eadright is here on speaker and Zoom. Mr. Fisher,
Here.
Ms. Thomas,
Here.
Ms. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Lifeite.
Here. All right. Want to take a moment for silence? All right. You want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Something that was suggested to me, or I learned about at when we went to a conference, just so everyone is aware, just a quick reminder of the Van Buren mission, which is building connections, building experiences, and building thinkers. And the vision that we have is building a culture of learning that enables all students to achieve. Those are our two big guiding principles when it comes to those decisions that we're going to talk about at the board. So just want to make sure that everyone is mindful of those, and we'll go from there. So now moving on to the adjustments to the agenda. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Kim is the first.
Second.
Andy is a second. Then discussion about the adjustments. Actually, I should have asked whether there were any other adjustments that needed to be made to the agenda. Okay, hearing none, then we can move on. Any discussion about the one adjustment to the agenda, or it'll just come up during the superintendent's recommendation? Okay, all right. So if you want to call the roll on approving the adjustments to the agenda.
Do we need to continue to call her?
No, you
Okay.
do not have to.
All right. Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Lifeite.
Yes, motion carries and that adjustment is made. Moving on to the board minutes from October 21st. Hopefully everyone had opportunity to review those. Looking for a motion to approve those. Melinda is the first,
Second.
Kim as the second. Any discussion on the minutes? All right, if you want to call the roll on approving the minutes from the October meeting.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yeah.
Mr. Lifeite.
Yes, motion carries and those minutes are approved. Moving on to visitors' comments. There were none posted online for me to read. Is there any comments from the public that are here? Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Great idea.
Nope. Thank you for that. So we are definitely looking to make that change. I unfortunately did not get it to them in time for this meeting, but yes, that is the plan moving forward. And also hopefully that will be put on a lot more of the documents that come out both to the public as well as internally. So thank you though. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the reports and communication. Just so everyone is aware, tonight is the last parent-teacher conference for the district. So there are a few of the administrators that cannot be here due to either being part of the one side of parent-teacher conference as a teacher or the other side as a parent. So just understand that everyone has gotten their reports to us, but we will still go through them from that degree. So Mr. Newcomer, you're here. anything you want to? Any questions from anyone? All right, hearing none. If you please pass along to everyone that we appreciate all their hard work and everyone have a safe holiday season from that side of things. So thank you. Middle school, Mr. Barrett, you're here.
This might be helpful. Whoa, sorry, that is so loud. Okay. Maybe if we could leave it on stage and wouldn't be blasting everyone's ears. I apologize. Anyway, nothing further to report to the actual report.
Yeah.
We're not getting any better. Well, we tried. So anyway, nothing further to add to those reports, but just a quick update as far as where we are with the West. With the high school to start with, within this connection component, they are the buddy program, which will start on Tuesday. Grade 9 to 12, and they'll be budding up. So he's really excited about that. His shout. As far as experience today, I think it's that new for my high school with that officially planned dates have been picked. For graduation requirements. And then with the thinkers group, where the building thinkers, they are really excited. They have officially fully implemented their program, which is up and running, and hopefully also middle school benefiting from that as well. So that's, as far as the middle school, as far as connections go, I'm really excited that we were able to finish our Grades for Black Night series. Hopefully we'll all saw the video. If you haven't, it's going to go out in the mailer, so that'll be exciting for everyone to watch. As soon as put it on, they came up with everything. We're also doing a great kind of panel discussion. A lot of questions coming from our just about everything in general. So we're going to split our grade up. We're going to do question and answer panel. So we're excited about that. As far as experiences, we have a love day, and that was way better than we ever would have expected. So students led their specific club, let other students know about what it was, encourage signing up. So we probably had 9, but from that, we're like, oh, I wish I was in high school club section. So they always do that. And then our teachers group, they are taking what we call work habits, which behavioral type skills, and all that, all of those behaviors that lead to positive academics. They're going to make them visual, and we are going to start Minecraft for that rather than your child meeting expectations. What does that mean? So we're going to start Minecraft this means for me, that have a dip and find out why did the dip and how so hopefully it'll also help the student whatever. So we're really excited about
All right. So I'm going to try to recap this just because I have a mic and you don't. So no, that's fine. I think we heard in here, but I want to make sure everyone in public. So first off from the board, any questions from either of their reports?
No. Good
Okay.
job.
Okay. So no questions from either high school or middle school report. We're glad Mr. Shout made it back from Chicago. So that's a big one. So that's always positive. But when it comes to the quest, which will be coming out to the public, we've said that multiple times, and that will be the case with an update of the quarterly update. But the big areas for the school on a high school and middle school, connections, experience, and thinkers are 3 main themes that you will see through the quest. And we know that high school connections, the buddy system, buddying with the elementary will happen next week. Experience wise, they will have a community service dates that are set in the spring, and that will help with their graduation requirements. And then for thinkers, the VB reading program with the bookmobile is in full swing for the high school, and middle school is benefiting from that, as well as some of the elementary too, but it's not part of that program from there. On the middle school side, connecting was the Traits of the Black Knight, which they finished a really awesome video that everyone will have the opportunity to watch if they so choose. And then also the 8th grade will be doing a panel discussion to answer some questions general that the middle school was having. From an experience standpoint, they had club day, which was an opportunity for some of the high school clubs to come, and it was student led to talk about what experiences they could have in the high school. And then thinking, they are working on a visual demonstration of positive work habits that are beneficial. And then that visual will allow for charting and seeing of dips and any intervention that might be done, rather than us just saying, yes, you're doing a good job, and not really knowing what that is. So that is what I heard. Okay. All right. You're just doing this for fun now. I know. All right, let's go.
Why don't we just get them a mic? I mean,
Yeah.
come to the end, so we're not repeating.
See, that's what happened.
So for experiences, the elementary is we have instituted the STEAM program with Mr. Bining. He's here. So he's doing a lot of cool things with the different grades, and that's in their special schedule this year. So that's been implemented. And then with our building connections, we also added a consistent, we call it morning meeting time, and then Wellness Wednesday, just to institute the social emotional learning that we've been doing for the past 6 years since we started PBIS. Really, it's just more of a scheduled time to do those things that we've been wanting to add. And then obviously with the high schoolers coming over with that buddy program, that's going to affect us and help us as well. And then with our PBI, with experiences as well, connections, we changed our PBIS to match the quest. So we basically essentially changed safe to resilient. And we focused on teaching kindergartners all the way through 5th grade what resiliency means, and they've done an awesome job. I call it bounce or splat, and they seem to get to know that. They understand what it means. They threw eggs at a wall to understand what that means, and they love that. We got all our signage over in the elementary changed over, and then the shirts that like you got tonight. I started that with my staff, and then we liked them, so we got them for everybody in the district. So those, it's just a nice consistent thing across the district now. And then for thinkers, that's going to be an ongoing multi-year thing, because we're doing our top 10 tools training for the literacy alignment. That's been Cassie Schaefer's helped us with a lot of that, and that's been ongoing for all the alternate learning days. Teachers have been going through training. We'll continue to do that all year long. So that's what I have.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I'm still up.
Because I was going to do it under mine, but since you're here,
And I have the microphone.
you can have the microphone. With our mission, I witnessed something today that was brand new. And if you could explain it, that kind of hits every part of our mission, because it was really cool to see the kids and staff try to maneuver this. It was really cool.
Yeah, it does. So we actually laid down a sensory path yesterday in the elementary. So I can't take the credit because Mrs. Bunn was over there helping with it. Mrs. Still was instrumental at getting everything cut out. Mrs. May, several of our paraprofessionals helped us get it laid down during the day when the kids weren't here. So if you haven't seen a sensory path before, there's just little squares or like numbers, letters, and they basically have to follow a path. They have to squat, jump, push against the wall, different things like that. It's just to get the wiggles out. Sometimes we have kids that just need sensory breaks. It's good for the adults. It's good for all the kids. We installed it on, if you're in the elementary building going down towards the library, it's kind of like a ramp that goes down. It's that ramp that's going down that way, that whole hallway. So if you ever get a chance to pop over and see it, come on over. I posted 2 pictures last night on social media. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, you could see it there. But we have one more we're going to be putting down in the kindergarten 1st grade hallway in front of the purple kindergarten lockers, because they don't use the lockers yet. And we'll have one going both ways. So when the kids go to the cafeteria or going to the west end of the building. Both sides of the hallway can use it. And then we were able to even get a layer of wax over it last night. So it should last 4, 5, 6 years as we clean each year. So one of them's down, we're getting another one down. It turned out really well. So kudos to the staff that helped put it down yesterday.
Awesome.
So come on over if you want to try it out and we can videotape you.
Oh, for
Oh.
sure.
The
You're there.
challenge.
You do it first. All right. Well, thank you. And please pass along to everyone that we appreciate all their hard work in all the buildings and also to have a safe holiday. VBEA highlights. Knew it was going to happen.
Got two quick things. First, we're working on the calendar for next year. We got our calendar committee together. We'll be getting that to Bloom here hopefully after Thanksgiving break. And the other thing is the chili cook-off we do every year for basketball will be December 17th against North Baltimore. We'll have the chili cook-off in the high school commons.
All right. Any questions for him? Okay. Well, thank you. And please pass along to all the teachers. We appreciate all their hard work. And we'll talk about whether the board will have a team in it, the chili cook-off. I know you'll expect us. We can figure it out. That's what we'll figure it out. All right, teaching and learning report. I know Ms. Schaefer isn't here, so any questions? Mr. Bloom is more than happy to answer. Okay. Maintenance and transportation, food services. Any questions for Mr. Bloom? All right. Well, we appreciate all their hard work as well, and it was good to see the numbers that Mr. Kelly gave us in his report about meals and how we're doing feeding the kids. So that is really good. Athletics and facilities.
Okay, so a lot of things happened since the last time we talked at the board meeting. So I'm going to drive you to our athletic website where everything is posted. But just a couple highlights that we had for the first time in school history, both boys and girls cross country team qualified for the regional race. And then we had 3 runners advance to the state competition too. So again, we have stuff happening all the time, so it's all out there on social media and especially our athletic website. Today, if you take a look, we posted the district awards for all the sports that they received. So our kids are getting a lot of accolades from this fall. It was a really successful fall, really successful, and hoping to build on that moving forward in the winter. Our first girls basketball game is Friday, and it's at Upper Sandusky. So we're ready for the winter season now. So yeah, other than that, next board meeting in December, you'll see the team GPAs like we normally do for the fall sports teams. We had our eligibility meeting last Thursday. So it wasn't time enough. We didn't have enough time to get you that, but it'll be in December. So any other questions?
No, congratulations.
Thank you. It was all coaching and kids. I did nothing.
All
Cool.
right. Well, thank you.
Good.
And as mentioned, congratulations to everyone for an awesome fall sports season. Technology. Okay. Okay. Thank you for everything you're doing. Special education report, Mrs. Bunn. That's okay. Any questions? All right. We'll thank her and thank her staff and everyone for all their hard work. Gifted report. Any question? Nope. I think we are good from that standpoint. We appreciate everything you're doing with the program. All right. Superintendent's report.
Only a couple highlights. The first one, I wanted to give a huge shout out again to Jacob Dieter, and I don't know what that flashing is up there. I see it too. That Jacob Dieter and with the help of Mr. May, who is here tonight, he did an amazing job on Veterans Day. If you haven't seen that in the square there in Van Buren, it is fantastic. It was well attended. I had no idea how much work went into it to make that look the way it does. So congratulations to him. He did an amazing job. And also just a huge shout out to Mr. Schaup and his group of 3 that took our seniors to Chicago and returned safe. And if you haven't seen the pictures, they are posted and everyone is back happy, healthy, and fine right now. So it was a great time. I see from the pictures, and I think that was the the quarterly update. Thank you to a board member for finding a little error, and we have fixed that. And that is why Mrs. Schaefer is not with us right now, because she is stuffing envelopes with the correction. So we hope to get that out tomorrow. And that's it for the highlights.
And in Mr. Bloom's reports, also a big congratulations to the marching band
Oh, the market.
for their performance at state. So once again, they represented us very well.
They did.
And getting ones from that degree. So that was the other item that he was going to highlight. But now, any questions for him? All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to standing or board standing committee reports, personnel, anything? Nothing to report. Audit and finance, we did have a meeting, a very productive meeting. The minutes will be up for approval from ours, or you will see them. We approve those and we'll get out to everyone. Good conversations to had in our next, they did review and got a sneak peek in the joy of a 5-year forecast that we will be talking about later on today. And they were in support of that. So that's the item to report. We will have another meeting in January once we have some more finite numbers and discussing what also will go out to the community from the finance side to keep everyone in communication and in the loop about how we're doing. So, transportation and facilities.
Yeah, we met on October 29th. Again, went over the permanent improvement plan tracker. A couple items that were on it was HVAC controls. That's coming out of debt service money, door card replacements in the school. The shop heat was completed. And then we asked the committee to come up with a top 10 list. So that was worked on during that, more to come on that list. And then we have a meeting, I believe, scheduled in December sometime in that.
December 3rd.
December 3rd. Thank you. So did we get it sent out to our community members as well?
Yes.
On that? Okay, awesome.
All right. Thank you. Yep. Athletics and extracurricular.
We haven't.
Okay, nothing to report there. District and school policies, there was a meeting on Monday. I unfortunately could not attend. You will notice those policies that are up with changes. It'll be first reading. There's nothing that we have to take action on tonight. Laura was there and I'm sure she has items to report. So we will wait to hear from her in December when it comes to those items. If you have further questions, please see her in regards to that. But once again, it's just the first reading, plenty of time to make changes. And to my knowledge, nothing dire that had to be taken action upon. So, okay. Student achievement and liaison.
Nothing other than they did finally post the thing about the quest on the OSBA website. Yeah, it was very lovely. So that was all.
All right. And then from a curriculum standpoint, we are working on getting a date together either in December or January to discuss how the quest is going and opening it up to some community members, targeting first the PTO and the academic boosters in the high school standpoint. So more to come on that probably at the January or February meeting, depending on when our meeting is. All right. I did not have any old business to bring up unless anyone else did. All right, moving on to new business. We have the treasurer's report and finance items 1 through 5. Anyone want to make a motion to approve?
I will make your motion.
Kim is the first. Melinda is the second. It is now open for discussion. So if you would like to lead us through, and then we will ask questions as we see fit.
I do have a little presentation tonight for the 5-year forecast. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the finance report tonight for the close of October, simply because we're going to talk a little more globally. It's probably the wrong word, but more long-term, talking about the forecast itself. Robert, do we have the ability to show the? There it is. Are
Is
you
it-
advancing for me? Oh, that'd be awesome.
So
We could go to the first slide.
before we go too far,
Yes.
do you want to move so we see it down there, or is everyone okay?
I have it on my iPad.
Okay, we're good. Keep going now. Sorry, just wanted to
Okay.
make sure.
I'm good.
Okay, so based on the Finance and Audit Committee this week painfully listened to me go through the assumptions that were behind all of the numbers in the 5-year forecast this evening, and tolerated it very well. So I went to applaud the committee for that. What I'm going to show you tonight is just mostly a graphical illustration of what those numbers are and how it looks like, and what the trends actually look like when we attach graphics to those numbers. All of the districts in the state are required to file a 5-year forecast, and it is twice a year. The initial forecast, which this is due to the state by November 30th. And then the second one is due at the end of May. So as this initial forecast, these numbers are much softer, especially in the area of how we think that we will end fiscal year 22. And as we move to the right, those numbers are based on a number of assumptions that are attached to revenues and expenditures themselves. The forecast is built from 3 years of historical data and then 5 years of projected data. The historical data, that's just the most recent historical actual results. And then as we move to the right on that forecast, of course, it's a little less accurate. But, the reasonable assumptions. The one thing that I want to talk about here on this slide. So these cash balances, they include a renewal of the emergency levy in fiscal year 26. So that's where you kind of see that downturn at the end of that, at the end of this graph. And the model includes the most current state funding and the passage of the income tax levy itself. Now, we have made some assumptions on the revenue side as it relates to the foundation funding. While House Bill 110 has been passed and we've seen simulations, it is not fully in effect yet. And we don't anticipate that we're going to see firmer numbers, I guess, for lack of a better term, until probably December. So we've made some assumptions about the simulations being pretty accurate at this point. So
What do you think is the biggest driver of the almost $2 million in her expenditures between roughly now and 2026? What do you think would? I'm just curious.
well, the largest portion of our expenses is educational program.
Okay.
So that's definitely. Now, the one thing that you're looking at here, when you see those expenses moving forward, you have to remember that this is a snapshot. So I can build a small amount of increase based on historical trends on the revenue side, but the expenses are going to go up.
Mhm.
Right? So those are I have to show those expenses moving up and moving forward. So the way the forecast is designed, I can only use that snapshot data.
Okay.
For that, so.
Thank you.
Sure. The next slide, please, Robert. So these are the ending cash balance with levy renewals built in. So we have more than 30 days cash at the end of fiscal year 26, which is required by the state, and no less than zero balance required by Ohio law. So you'll remember the forecast from 2019 where we did not meet these numbers, and we ended up in fiscal caution. So precautionary fiscal caution. So we have come, our story is a great story right now, and we've come a very long way from those early days. It's been a lot of hard work and a lot of community support. And we're actually thrilled that we can give you a forecast that has this outlook at this point. Do we know everything that's going to happen coming forward? We don't, but the projections right now are looking favorable, and they're not as scary as when I first got here. Next slide, please. So this is just a slide that you have seen many times. It's true days cash. So there is a recommendation from the state that we have between 30 and 90 days cash on hand. And how they calculate the cash on hand is that we make a calculation to determine what it takes to keep the district running, what that dollar amount is, if all of the revenue were to stop today, and then do a calculation to see how long that cash balance would last. So we're in a very favorable range for the true days cash for the life of this forecast. Next, please. So here are the general revenue sources for fiscal year 22. The majority of our revenues are from local sources. So that has not changed for us. There is an amount that's coming from state foundation. And we have seen a bit of an increase with the new formula. So as those numbers are soft, stay tuned as we get through December, that we get some more solid numbers when it comes to the state aid. They have taken the state aid really and have torn it apart. A lot of the way that we have historically dealt with foundation has changed. So if we have kiddos that are attending other places, community schools or other educational entities, that money is flowing to those entities directly now instead of coming through us. So you're going to see some fluctuations in some of the historical trends that we have seen in the past because we're recognizing revenue from the state in a different way. Next, please. So this is just a graphical illustration of the local versus state funding. And you'll see that we're heads and shoulders above the state funding that we receive. And unless they make some changes in how they recognize Van Buren as a wealthy district because of our local valuation, I don't anticipate that this would change. Next, please. So this is just a couple of little blurbs here about the tangible personal property reductions. Those continue to phase out. By the time we get to 2025, we've hit that zero mark on the state reimbursement. We're still getting some of the PUPP, public utilities payments that are coming our way, but most of the tangible personal property has been eliminated almost completely. And it's being reduced on a 5/8 of a mil each year. And currently 1 mil equals just over $303,000 in the district. Next, please. So there are some revenue considerations that we've used in developing this forecast. So the growth in property values are expected to continue to increase. The district is we're at the 20 mil floor for class 1 properties. So any growth in the district will help us realize additional revenue for the school district. The income tax for the first half of fiscal year 22 was definitely higher than expected. The estimates that were provided by the Ohio Department of Taxation were actually lower than I believe they should have been. And as a part of this forecast, once the income tax comes up for renewal, we will be recommending from my office, if these trends continue, to change it from a traditional income tax to an earned only income tax. So as we get closer to that time, we'll have more discussions about what those two things mean and how it will affect the revenues at that time.
So regarding that, is the realized versus expected like double? Is it like 50%?
It's not double, but
Okay.
it was a sizable increase. I know the July payment, the projections that I'd received from the state said we should have received maybe $144,000, and it was closer to 400.
Oh,
Yeah,
That does not mean your committee can go spending.
so it's
no,
trending up.
I'm not saying that by just getting it out there on why you're making that recommendation possibly coming up. And
Yeah,
talking real
it's under
numbers.
consideration right now, just because I'm not sure where this trend is going, because the October payment was lower,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
So we're seeing some fluctuations right now. It's just one of those revenue streams I'm definitely keeping my eye on.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it as we go through the year, but the projections that I had to make had to be on the first two payments that I received for this fiscal year.
Gotcha.
And actually the payment in the spring was a little bit higher than I had anticipated it would be. So it's kind of a puzzle right now. Once I get to the end of December, I may just make a call to the state to talk about the increase and what that actually is, if that's a determination of something for us.
Gotcha.
So the state is delayed in getting the actual model to the schools until December for the foundation payments. We talked about that earlier. And the open enrollment revenues that we had seen as a revenue stream in past years, that's one of those data points that is going to look different. There's going to be so many things that look different, especially the way we adjusted the foundation formula to direct pay our educational service center, and we're direct paying one of the retirements. So that way we have a positive cash flow for the foundation every month. It's not a lot, but at least it's not a negative cash flow at this point. And the fact that we're not being floated an amount of money that will keep us basically in the black as the foundation is posted by the state level, so we won't need to return something at the end of the year. So this will generally lower line, well, it just talks about the different lines that will be lowered on the forecast. I could read you those lines, but you probably aren't going to know what they're attached to. So I don't know what I was thinking when this was put together. So, but the open enrollment, community school transfers, the STEM schools, and the scholarships that are not attached to special education will be affected by the change in foundation. Next, please. So here's the estimated general fund expenditures for fiscal year 22. And Andy, this is what we were talking about before.
Mhm.
You know, it's under 80%. It's just over 75% is attached to personnel that is actually in the district.
Mhm.
And the other largest piece of that pie is purchase services. And the services could be utilities. It could be repair and maintenance to have folks come in and help keep our facilities running in the way they should. But we also purchase additional services for our kiddos that need special education services or tutors or speech therapy. All of that is kind of put into that orange piece of the pie there. And so the majority of it is, I guess the best way to say it is just we're funding those educational programs that are going to move our kids forward.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And then this is just another graphical illustration of the general fund expenditures from fiscal year 19 to 26. And you can see the fluctuation there, but the majority of it is for personnel expenses and for purchase services as well. So some items to consider about our finances. Our tangible personal property reimbursement is continuing to decrease each year of the forecast. The new state budget bill, House Bill 110, they're providing substantial new money to the district. We have a better net result than we've had in past years. And another big piece that we need to talk about as well is the elementary and secondary emergency stimulus money from the federal government. So based on the response to COVID, we have money that I'm using to offset some personnel costs to help free up some additional funding that we can use to help keep our facilities in a safe and better way. I mean, we're just seeing our facilities see some age on them, so that's not a new conversation either. So this will actually help us get some of those projects taken care of. So future funding is based on is uncertain based on new biennial budgets as they come through. The Fair School Funding Plan, we're not sure how that's going to pan out completely. And then that's not guaranteed past fiscal year 23. The passage of the income tax and the renewal of the emergency levy, they have been, they improved our finances, and they are actually built in as we move to the end of those levies. And the expenditures will need to be monitored in order to maintain fiscal stability. So I know you're probably tired of hearing me say that, but something that we have to keep in mind. Even though things look great right now, we're still putting that fiscal spending discipline into place. So, and then this last slide is just a summary of the revenues and expenses through the life of the forecast, taking out all of the specific lines in between. So this forecast, I believe, is conservative at this point, but there's a lot of this fiscal year left and lots of years to the right left for us to live. So, but we're in a good place. The snapshot today looks pretty good. So do you want me to go through the other items in my section? Do you want to talk about the forecast?
Does anyone have any questions about the forecast?
Look good. Thank you.
It's nice to see revenue.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And
That-
just a reminder to stay within the bounds. We didn't get all of our funding back in place and then to start spending what we.
Oh, no, definitely not. Through the life of this forecast, we're living within our means. And that's ultimately the goal, isn't it? I mean, we don't want to be spending beyond what it is that we have any possibility of bringing in. So through specific cuts that were made to the expenses and working with Brian and the realignment of the resources for the district, I just feel like there has been so much work that's been done over the past couple of years here that it's just we can take a breath right now, but our work isn't done yet.
Thank you, guys.
All right. You can walk through your other items on the agenda.
Yeah, just a couple of housekeeping items here. The financial report for the close of October 31st. I do have a couple of new funds. One is the middle school building fund. In the past, the middle school and high school shared the same building fund. And Jen has requested to have a building fund of her own. So her and Kevin are separating their revenues and they're going to run their own banks. So she has a lot of clubs and activities in the middle school that they're working on moving all of those forward. So, and then the next one is the student store. So that'll help track all of the activity that's attached to that.
Hey, Don, I would request that we do have the students or the oversight of that program come and do a presentation once we get it up and running.
Oh, that would be great. I'm actually going to meet with them on Friday afternoon, so I'll bring that up.
Okay, thank you.
And there was a bit of money in the 018 account for the high school building account that was earned by the middle school play. So I'm requesting a transfer of those funds over to the middle school play account. And then we did an adjustment to the non-union salary schedule. And that's in response to the personnel recommendation that we're making tonight for the treasurer's office. We have not had anyone in that position that was degreed. And so it's an educational differential essentially that's attached to the master's degree that the person holds that's coming in. And that's all I have in my section.
Any other items for discussion? Questions? Okay, if you want to call the roll on approving the treasurer's items 1 through 5.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to the superintendent's recommendations. Looking for a motion to approve items 1 and 2. So moved. Andy is the first.
I'll second.
Kim is the second. Open it up for discussion.
All right, pretty small section tonight. We are looking at the girls junior high basketball coaches are on here. We have a cheerleading advisor for grade 9. We have some substitute teachers. We have some wrestling assistant junior high coach. And I also want to highlight 2 things. The agenda adjustment for Ann McInnes. The initial recommendation did not have winter sports as part of that recommendation. So that is the adjustment, was the winter sports and the dollar amount associated with that. Also, we had interviews and happy to announce that Kelly Allred is going to hopefully be our next assistant treasurer in your department, and her first day is going to be November 29th. And we look forward to getting your office whole again. So that's going to be a good thing for us all. And that is about it for my section.
All right. Any items for discussion? Questions? Everybody had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Bloom about these items beforehand. So hopefully everyone had their questions answered. That's why nothing's coming up now. So, all right. Do you want to call the roll on approving items 1 and 2 of the superintendent's recommendation?
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Yes, motion carries. Those items are approved. Moving on for the board's consideration, first reading on those policies. As mentioned, I apologize to everyone in the public as well as on the board that I was unable to attend that meeting. But Laura said she will talk about them at the second reading. Once again, we get 3 readings and then we vote. So that will carry on till December. Next item for board's discussion is contact tracing discussion. So I'm just gonna open that up
Okay.
to go in that
Hopefully,
direction.
There's been some changes and some suggestions from the Hancock County Board of Health. The major one is that they still contact, for example, they update their chart when someone is tested positive for COVID. This is then notified to our nurse, Nurse Judy Prater. And from that point, this is where the differences kind of come into play, is that the building principals and maybe if it's athletic, Justin or whoever coaches and Nurse Judy will decide who those close contacts are. And then we would use in Hancock Public Health Department guidelines and contact parents that they are close contacts. Now, that would be the extent of the contact, would be a letter at this point. If no letter is provided, then the only other option to notify parents of close contact would be Nurse Judy calling everybody, which can be done, but the amount of time that that takes is very large. And I believe it's safe to say that Don was kind of surprised how many hours that does take to contact our parents. So I did check with the legal aspect of this letter. We are not required to send the letter. There is no breaking of any law if we do not. But my personal opinion is we need to let our parents know at this point of the pandemic that their children are a close contact. That would be my suggestion. Somehow, some way, we need to let our parents know that their children have been in close contact with a positive case. I am okay with the changes to the letter that Hancock Public Health has made. And in talking with Nurse Judy, she is in favor of sending these letters. She sees it to be more efficient use of her time versus calling all of the parents. So I guess the discussion centers around, are we okay sending this letter?
I think a point of clarity for everyone, because I don't know if they picked it up in your statement or not. If we do not send a letter to close contact individuals, they will not be notified by the health department.
You are correct. That is not going to be happening from our Board of Health anymore.
So the only people that will be notified are those that are positive, and then it's either up to the parents or those people that are positive to notify the people that they were in contact. But the health department is no longer going to do those trace contact conversations. So that is part of the reason why they've obviously asked the schools if they would be a part of it. And from a safety standpoint, I think at least this board member feels that letting parents know is crucial. And if the health department isn't going to do it, then I feel that we, for the safety of the kids, have some responsibility. But that's just my opinion. So the letter, for those of you who have not seen, it is from the health department. It would come on health department letterhead. It is not Van Buren letterhead. We have the blessing from the health department to utilize that, and the information is what the health department is saying. It's just going to be sent out from our office from that degree, but everything other than the outside envelope would be the Hancock County Health Department.
How many current cases do we have?
I'd have to look on our website here.
I guess I'm all for the safety of the children. Obviously, that's why we're here. That's what we should be doing and all that stuff. But if the health department doesn't feel it's important enough to reach out and do this contact tracing, I'm concerned at why they're putting the burden back on the school, who is not the health authority in this. And are we chasing our tail with tracking all of this down and then sending it to the parents, especially since probably, and I don't know the number yet, but it's probably still relatively low.
I think that I can't speak for the health department, so you might jump in because you've had more conversations with them. I don't think it's that they don't think it's important. They just don't have the resources and the manpower and the ability to hire the manpower to do it. That's
That is true.
what, and I think from the hospital standpoint, they would probably mirror that the health department is struggling. So that I don't want to say that they don't think it's important enough. I don't want that message to come out.
And our current students actively, as of today, Nurse Judy did update it. We currently have 2 active students and 1 active staff. So far this year, we've had a total of 52 students total confirmed cases, and it looks like 8. I'm sorry, 10 for the staff.
Do we have an ability to have this letter accessible for people in our community? Just like we're talking about this, but no one knows what it is. Like that they can actually look at it and just.
We
be
can
aware
put it
of
on the website.
Maybe. I mean, I support sending the letter because I think it's, it's our responsibility to make sure that our kids are safe. And if I was a parent and I had kids in school, I would want to know if my kid was in close contact with someone that was symptomatic. So I support sending the letter.
Speak for, but there was an idea that was in a discussion I had to maybe try it for a few months and see how it goes, and then reevaluate it maybe in the January board meeting and see how it's going, if it's still effective, and see how it is working.
Current, I guess what is currently happening now?
Right now, Nurse Judy is calling because we have not sent a letter.
So this would help her streamline her workflow.
She would have more time definitely in the day. She has been working, well, extra hours and overtime, a lot more. The last pay period was a lot more, so.
So Laura has a question. Will the letter be emailed? What happens if the parent chooses not to follow the public health letter? Who is enforcing this? This is from Laura.
If you're taught, well, there's 2 different things. If it's a quarantine situation and a student or staff member shows up, that is reported to the Board of Health. And my understanding is that they would then handle that enforcement aspect of things. I do not know what that means, but that is what I heard at my meeting on Wednesday. If you're talking about close contacts and masks, and if they're wearing them, that would fall upon the school. More specifically, the administrators.
And in the letter, it clearly stipulates if this happens, then you do this. If this happens, then you do that. So.
Correct.
Laura wants to know if it being emailed to parents or snail mail.
The goal of that would be to send email. Again, to keep,
Postage down.
and to get it there.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Nothing
I would-
against your elementary kiddos, but if you hand that to a first grader,
Or high school kid.
Yeah, let's be honest, it's not just elementary. They might, I at least check their folder.
Yeah, they don't even.
So,
So
but
Judy will be emailing the letters.
that is our goal, yes.
if there's an email record, and then obviously.
Correct. Not everyone would be able to have that, but the majority of our parents do.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna make a motion to support the use of the presented letter for a trial basis.
I'll second.
We want to say 3 months or 6 months.
I say we'll reevaluate in January.
Okay, reevaluation in January. And I heard Kim as a second. So we've heard about this. Now we're opening it to discussion on actually taking action on it. So any discussion? I know that the question that was raised, and we will come up again with who is enforcing this. And I think it will be obviously just like enforcing masks on buses. We're going to do our best, but that's the case. The more important thing, in my opinion, is making sure the parents at least are aware, so then they can make decisions accordingly. What those decisions are up to them. But if you're not given that information, I don't think that's fair. So, any other items? Any discussions, questions? Okay, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Yes, motion carries. All right. Next item is capital conference update. Just so everyone knows in the public and that are here, the Ohio School Boards Association has a pretty large conference in Columbus. This year it was back in person. So we had the opportunity to go down there. And with that, you get to see what other schools are doing and hopefully bring back some good information and go from there. So I just asked the board members that attended to have just a little bit of what they took from it. So you know that we actually were there and tried to take action and learn some things in that degree. So it is open to administrators, treasurers, superintendents. I would tell you that Don and Brian did some great things and saw some great sessions down there. So I can vouch for them. And they made connections and talked to vendors and items like that, which is really important when it comes to working on some of the budgets and items like that. From a conference standpoint, for myself, the big thing that I took from it is what I'm trying to implement with you all right now and moving forward. Is really making this about the vision and mission of the school so the community can get on board with that. So trying to make that more public and make sure that people understand that decisions are being made based on that, not just off of what one board member feels or an opinion. So as long as we keep looking back to a vision and mission, we can make some good decisions from that degree. So, but we also learned about community engagement, items like that. So, but Andy, anything to chime in from your side?
Yeah, sure. First, thanks to the community for allowing us to go down and do that. It's definitely a good learning experience, especially for this newer board member. I'll call it continuing education next year. But yeah, to echo Mike, there's several topics. You know, a few of them that I attended. I also attended the one with community engagement that Mike did, optimizing your boards and committees. Purchasing 101. So thought that one was pretty interesting. And then, yeah, saving 101. But and also the special education one. That one was actually really enlightening. I wish Bridget was here, but so she's in trouble now that they've kind of educated me up a little bit on that. But you know, just as far as the district's responsibilities, you know, legal responsibilities and the common disputes and solutions that the districts have to go through. So, but yeah, very cool. Also, just enjoyed the camaraderie and talking to different individuals and that kind of stuff. So.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, once again, thanks to the community for that. Next item up is executive session. There will be no items to take action on after the executive session when we go into it. So we will come out of that to only adjourn the meeting. But I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Okay. Andy's first, second.
Second.
Kim is the second. So this is to go into executive session. If you'd like to call the roll.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams, Mr. Lightfoot.
Yes, motion carries. We're in executive session at 8:09. I appreciate everyone's time and have a safe evening. If I do not see you all. I think I made it so you will. Okay. Just because I didn't want this to put anything inappropriate in it. Banana suits or handstands. Like Capitol Conference, here's a handstand that needs to be done.
Yeah. Oh, the handstand, that didn't happen.
The meeting's not over, is it?
That would be entertaining.
All right. I have us out of executive session at 8:50. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Kim and Andy. Any items of discussion? Hearing none, if you want to call the roll on adjournment.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Yes. Motion carries. We are adjourned. I appreciate everyone and every.